I have a small riddle for you. This characteristic saves lives on the street, but destroys lap times on the racetrack. If you haven't guessed already, the answer is understeer. In this video, we will talk about what is understeer, how to identify understeer, what causes the understeer, and most importantly, how to correct understeer. Understeer is happening when your front tires break traction before your rear tires. For example, when you are entering a turn and you want your car to follow a particular path towards the apex, but your car is actually going wide and completely misses the mark. The red line indicates the intended path and the blue line indicates the actual path while your car is understeering. This is how your ideal line will look like when your car is understeering. The red line indicates the intended path and the blue line indicates the understeer path. You will identify understeer most of the time to your steering wheel. For example, if it happens at corner entry, you will feel the steering a little bit light. So imagine when you're turning into the corner, you are already right at the limit, but as soon as you turn the steering wheel a little bit more, you feel that slight lightness we just talked about, and your car refuses to follow the path you want towards the apex, but instead completely misses it. This happens because the tires have a limited amount of lateral and longitudinal grip available. If the tire is at the limit and you are requesting even more lateral grip by turning the steering wheel, the contact patch will skip on the pavement, and that's why you feel that push and the lightness in your steering wheel. Reasons why understeer is happening is either driving related, setup related, and in very rare occasions mechanical failure. If you ask a random track junkie on how would they fix their understeer, they would say either reduce entry speed or unwind the steering wheel. Which in a nutshell, it's actually true. But we're going to dive deeper into this, therefore I developed a matrix that can serve as a guideline on how to fix your understeer. First thing you have to do, which is sometimes easier said than done, is to identify if it's happening at corner entry, mid-corner, or corner exit. Once you establish that, you can start making sure that you don't have a mechanical failure, which can be damaged hubs, bounced sway bars, sticky brake calipers, cracked wheels, damaged shocks, old or heat cycled out tires, tire puncture, damaged tie rods, so on. If everything checks out, start working on the driving portion first. Adjust your driving style accordingly and see if the understeer is gone. It is very helpful to have available telemetry so you can also figure out if this change in driving style is not affecting other portions of the turn and ultimately increasing your lap times even more, because now you are maybe inducing understeer or tire drag at the opposite end of the corner. Alright, so on to the matrix. First we're going to talk about corner entry. If you're understeering on corner entry, then you should threshold brake better. What this will actually do is transfer more weight to the front of the car, and as we talked about in our previous video about threshold braking, having more weight in front will yield more grip, which inherently will make the turn in easier. You could also start braking earlier, which will enable you to arrive at the turning point with lower speed, but as I mentioned, do this accompanied with data so you can make sure this is not causing issues somewhere else and be detrimental to your lap times. If your understeer is mid-corner, then you should release the brake slower while trail braking. I mentioned this in my trail braking video, which you should watch here if you haven't already. But what you are basically doing is holding the weight of the car in the front slightly longer to gain more grip. The other thing you could do is turn in slightly later. By doing so, you are inherently slowing the car down slightly, but at the cost of actually traveling a longer distance to the apex. Data will tell you if the reduced speed will yield faster lap times than understeering. As a side note, you've seen me referencing data quite often. If your understeer is not severe, it will be much harder to troubleshoot without data, and as I said, the fix might still hurt your lap times, so it is really the solution at that point. Moving on to corner exit, I suggest you modulate the throttle, especially on a high horsepower car. On a low horsepower momentum car, modulating the throttle will still work, but it will definitely hurt your lap time significantly. Another thing you could do is to be patient and apply throttle a little bit later. If the track permits, take slight steering out. You'd be surprised, sometimes even 2-3 degrees of steering angle will make a huge difference. If you still can't fix it, I suggest getting equal experienced or even a more experienced driver to drive your car for a few laps and see if he is experiencing the same before you start getting into setup changes. One more important thing you could do is to hit the like button if you enjoyed the content so far, which will help spread this video to more track junkies like me and you. Ideally, you'd want a very experienced driver or even an engineer to advise on setup changes, but let's face it, very few of us have the access to them. If you adjusted your driving style and you're still understeering, start making setup adjustments, but there are two very important things to keep in mind. Read the manufacturer recommendations on every part you're about to adjust. You have to know and understand how that part works, and the manufacturer is the best entity to help you with that. Also, only change very small increments and only one variable at a time. Don't start adjusting sway bars, shocks, and ride height all at once to save time, hoping that it will instantly fix your problem. From personal experience, I can tell you, you will most likely not fix it unless you're a very, very lucky person. These are my suggestions on how to do setup changes. Some of these changes will not be applicable for every car. If your car is purely stock production car, you will be very limited on what changes you can do. We'll start with corner entry first. Increase front camber or toe out. Reduce front stabilization bar stiffness. Reduce front shock compression. Increase or tighten front shock rebound damping. If you have a two-way adjustable shock and can adjust both compression and rebound, I suggest adjusting compression first. Reduce front ride height or increase rear ride height. Moving on to mid-corner. Increase front spring preload. Increase front stabilization bar stiffness. Increase front spring rates. And for the corner exit, increase rear shock compression. Decrease or loosen rear shock rebound. Increase rear spring rate. And raise the rear ride height. Another cause of understeer is overheating of your tires. If you're driving hard in a race, trying to get away from someone, trying to catch up someone, or even while you are having some great battles, you will eventually overheat your tires and your car might start to understeer. Last but not least is changing weather conditions, which could also cause your car to understeer. In these cases, only thing you could do is to adjust your driving style and accept the fact that your lap times will increase slightly. I will leave a link to a printable matrix in the description for you to carry on to the racetrack while you are test and tuning. If you want to learn more driving techniques, check out these two videos related to braking, and of course, keep the shiny side up.